Greetings, beautiful people. It's been a minute since I posted, but I'm deciding to share a poem. The poem is about domestic violence and more broadly about bullying. And part of the reason I decided to share is because I shared this poem at a domestic violence walk, a walk of hope last Saturday, and that was in October 2022. And a few people asked me to share the poem. So I'm finally getting around to sharing the poem. Here it is on Wednesday. And the other reason why I decided to share it today is because last night I listened to a talk by a lady named Lizzie Jenkins. She's the niece of a survivor of the Rosewood Massacre. And as I listened to her talk and her tell her story, it reminded me so much of my grandmother and my aunts. And it just, I felt so connected. And that kind of inspired me to come out of my closet and talk a little bit. So I'll share the poem in a few words. All right. Najwa Zabian said, "For some people, it's easier to believe that there is something wrong with you than it is for them to believe that something wrong happened to you." Marinate on that. I'm speaking to survivors, warriors, those who know that grit supersedes your present circumstance. Grit is one of the most powerful weapons in your arsenal. It's capital you can count on. When they victimize you, remember your breath is the victory. When they shit on you, remember that compost makes the garden grow better, baby. When they discount you, remember that you are dangerously close to the next level. Level up. Don't give up. Never quit. Don't forget that Sankofa is a bird that has planted her seeds in your heart. You are the art, my dear. I know those blows hurt. The emotional slurs caused you pain, but you're so much bigger than the hurt. Sometimes pain comes before power. Pain is just a transition, a preparational phase. It's just a reality that you've endured. You've made it. Alchemize that pain. Convert it. Transform it. And let me show you how. Survive. Tell your story. Speak your truth. Believe in the infinite power of all that is. Rise above the current circumstance. Sprout wings and soar above the trauma. Look over that time period and watch your weakness burn. Smell the flames. Glide with arms stretched wide, heart pumping with each stride. Don't swallow or hide. Own it. Talk that talk. And seek the newest edition of your own book. You are more than what happened to you. You're so much more than the blows. Believe me when I say, there's nothing wrong with you. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to share that poem mainly because I was inspired by listening to the talk last night and also because I was asked to share it when I did the walk. But I guess what I want to say is that grit is something that a lot of people know about and some people don't really talk about, but it's a real thing. And I was actually talking to a friend a couple of days ago, and I was telling her that I was listening to a short little clip on Instagram. It was an excerpt from a talk by Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he said, he was like, opposition is for your own benefit. And he was talking about people shadow boxing. He was like, you see people shadow boxing and they're looking all pretty when they're out there dancing and bopping, but then put them in the ring and see how they perform. And you put them in the ring and all of a sudden they get knocked out. And I was like, man, that's so true. It's all these other quotes and sayings started coming into my mind. And I started thinking about how sometimes when we face challenging circumstances, people that get on our last nerve, situations that just, really, really just get under your skin. I like to think about it as like the oxygen stealers of the world out here stealing oxygen, you know, just doing stuff to kind of make your day just a little bit less bright. But in reality, those people are just as necessary as the cheerful, wonderful, delightful people that you interact with. Um, it's if you want to get better, sometimes you have to test your knowledge. You have to see what you know. You have to have that opposition. And the benefit of being gritty is that as you learn to connect with people and to overcome obstacles, you get even more gritty, right? You learn to persevere even more. You learn to apply strategies. You learn to become more emotionally intelligent, hopefully. And yeah, so like I said, the poem was inspired by domestic violence, talking about domestic violence, but more broadly, I'm speaking about bullying and just tough circumstances that people may face in their life. And the poem was really personal because most of my poetry is a way for me to cope with this, with the world that I live in. Um, so thank you for listening.